As Lin Jiu wished, I helped him take the orphan girl Shui Yingjing into the manor as a favored concubine. The bloodbird's nests and silks from the storehouse. He sent over to her every now and then. Ying Ying isn't like you. She has never seen such fine things. And I assume you are tired of them anyway. He explained it this way. And I nodded. Is it enough? If not, I'll have the steward get more. Lin Jiu was stunned for quite a while, then spoke with a dark expression. You don't mind at all. I snapped out of my daze and looked at the child learning archery from the tutor not far away. I slowly said, as the lady of the Marquise's manor, I should have such magnanimity, shouldn't I? But Lin Jiu wasn't having it. With a dark expression, he said coldly. What kind of talk is this? I merely took one concubine, and you are already acting like this. If it were someone else. I looked up at him, and he instantly backed down. His gaze full of helplessness, he said, if you mind, I won't send things over anymore. I am doing this for your own good. All these years people outside have been saying you are jealous and won't let me take concubines. Now who doesn't say you are magnanimous and treat the concubines in the back courtyard? Well, he resumed his usual gentleness and took my hand. Out of courtesy, I didn't pull away and just responded half-heartedly. Thank you for your understanding, husband. Jiang Yuni. What more could you possibly be unsatisfied with? Lin Jiu got angry, he flicked his sleeves and left, not even sparing a glance at the child who had hurried over to find him. You are timidly shuffled over to me. Is father angry? I shook my head. No. He just has some urgent matters to deal with. He didn't mean it. Yuer's eyes reddened. Is it because of that woman in Yue courtyard? Ever since she came, father rarely visits mother anymore. And everyone in the manor says that if she has a child someday, the heir's position might go to him. I was startled. Secretly annoyed at myself for being too careless and overlooking Yuer's feelings. So, I told him very seriously, you are the legitimate eldest son of the Marquis Manor. No one can surpass you. As if to spite me. Lin Jiu became more and more attentive to Shui Yingying. Even when he participated in a polo match with the prince's heir. He gave the prize he won to her. The maid Liangxin couldn't help but advise me. Madam, just swallow your pride. The master is deliberately doing this for you to see. This morning, the servant boy by his side came to probe your thoughts. You are after all a young lady from the minister's manor. You can't just let someone walk all over you. My hands fiddling with the abacus paused for a moment, and I spoke lightly. What? Even you think I am throwing a tantrum at him? Looking up with a glance, Liangxin indeed had a confused expression on her face. I smiled helplessly, as you said yourself. I am the dignified young lady of the minister's manor. How could I be afraid of some orphan girl climbing over my head? They're just some worthless things anyway. What is the harm in giving them to her? Liangxin was stunned for quite a while before nodding, half understanding. I looked at the gradually darkening sky outside the window, thinking that Lin Jiu still needed to personally invite a tutor for Yuer's early education. The tutor hired at home was just for laying the foundation. For real learning, I wanted him to go somewhere better. So I prepared the soup that Lin Jiu liked to drink. But unfortunately, I ran into Shui Yingying at the study door. Greetings, madam. But the Marquis has just eaten something. I am afraid his appetite won't be too good. She lowered her head slightly, revealing the marks on her neck, a vivid red color as if freshly made. Before I could speak, the study door had already opened. A look of wild joy flashed across Lin Jiu's face. But it cooled down again in an instant. What are you here for? He turned his body to the side, then secretly glanced over, his gaze falling on my food box. Did madam make it herself? But before I could respond, he couldn't help but step forward and hold my hand. Why did you deliver it yourself? You could have just sent someone to let me know. Glancing at Shui Yingying, his tone became indifferent. Go back now. My meals are usually taken care of by madam. You don't need to do these things in the future. Shi Yingying suddenly raised her head, her expression shocked and pained, tears streaming down. Lin Jiu became even more impatient. Enough, it is not a big deal. Learn more from madam. Don't be so petty. Shui Ying instantly stopped her tears, lowered her head, and replied with a soft okay. Lin Jiu looked at me ingratiatingly. She is just lacking proper discipline. Naturally she can't compare to you, madam. Please teach her more when you have time. I smiled and headed toward his study. Lin Jiu drank the soup at an extremely slow pace. Yet, he tried hard to look like he was enjoying it. I deliberately waited, and just as he was about to stop, I asked, is it not to your taste? You used to like it so much. No, it is delicious. He simply downed it all in one gulp, couldn't help but straighten his back and loosened his belt a bit. I had Liangxin put away the food box, then brought up the matter of Yuer's schooling after the new year. Prince Qi's household academy has always been famous in the capital. But if he could enter the palace as a study companion, that would naturally be even better. Lin Jiu thought for a moment before speaking. The palace probably has limited spots, hard to get in. But as for Prince Qi's place, I can go put in a word. Rest assured. I do have some connection with Prince Qi's heir. I felt relieved, and even when he came forward to get close, I held back and didn't push him away. But right at that moment, a servant boy came to deliver a message from outside. The concubine has fainted. The household doctor says it is a pregnancy pulse. Lin Jiu's face lit up with joy, and he immediately looked at me apologetically. I understandingly let him go look after Shui Ying, even feeling a bit relieved deep down, because of Lin Jiu's promise. Whenever my brother and sister asked about your schooling, I told them it would be at Prince Qi's. They also felt relieved and stopped bothering to look elsewhere. But seeing that it had already been 3 or 4 days since classes started at Prince Qi's residence, Lin Jiu still hadn't come to discuss this matter. Until this day, Shui Ying took away the pastries my brother brought me from Luzhou. I personally took Liangxin to get them back, but I saw the pastries had already fallen all over the floor, and she was smilingly teasing a cat on the ground. You cats sure are lucky. These pastries are too sweet, sickeningly so. Otherwise, how would it be your turn? These are the butterfly pastries our marquise's wife has been longing for, sent all the way from Luzhou. I rushed over and slapped her right across the face. The servants couldn't stop me in time, each one gaping with their mouths wide open. I looked over coldly, since when do shady people get to lay their hands on my things? Where did all the household rules you learned go? Shui Ying glared over, covering her face. Madam, this servant was just greedy, never having eaten anything good. So, you haven't just never eaten anything good. You simply have no upbringing, no shame at all. Her face turned pale, tears and snot streaming down. Her gaze swept past behind me, and she suddenly knelt down. It is this servant's fault. Please don't blame me, madam. This servant didn't know those were pastries sent from madam's maiden family. I only thought they were something ordinary. I've had morning sickness recently. My appetite's been poor, so I just thought of eating something I hadn't tried before. If madam wants to punish me, just keep hitting me. Please don't hit my belly. Enough. Lin Jiu's voice came through. He strode over with big steps and helped Shui Ying up. Jiang Yuni, I never knew you were such a person with a kind face but a cruel heart. If I hadn't caught you in the act this time, I wouldn't have known you were tormenting her behind my back. I think you are the one who needs to know your place. This is the Marquise's manor. You don't get to run wild here. I stood there, stunned, tears falling beyond my control. My lord, that is not what happened, the madam, you wretch. It is not your place to interrupt. They all say the daughters of the minister's manor are noble ladies of high status. But I see it is nothing special. You can't even keep your servants in line. Liangxin tried to explain, but the moment she knelt down, he kicked her right in the chest. Her face was deathly pale as she lay prostrate on the ground, trembling non-stop. I instinctively rushed over. Are you all right? I am fine, madam. This servant overstepped her bounds. I deserved it. After saying that, her eyes went dark and she collapsed in front of me. Lin Jiu was a military general. He hadn't held back with that kick just now, How could Liangson possibly withstand it? I immediately sent someone to fetch the manor physician, but Shui Yingjiang spoke up at this moment. The Marquis was merely disciplining a servant. If Madame acts like this, I am afraid everyone in the manor will think Madame's authority comes above all. Her voice was weak and feeble, her whole body leaning into Lin Jiu's embrace, clinging to him. And Lin Jiu, whose eyes had held a trace of guilt, instantly turned ice cold. No one is allowed to visit her. Lin Jiu, he spoke in disbelief, unable to stop myself from trembling. He had actually become like this. Lin Jiu grabbed my hand and leaned down before me. Yingjing had wounds of all sizes on her body before, and she wouldn't tell me when I asked. I was puzzled at the time, but now thinking about it, everything makes sense. Is your minister's manner so noble that you can't let others have any? He said this through gritted teeth. I subconsciously looked toward Shui Yingying. She cowered, but the look in her eyes toward me was like that of a venomous snake. I originally looked down on her and didn't want to compete. Now it seems I underestimated her and actually fell into her trap. After that day, Lin Jiu stripped me of my authority to manage the household. Liangson couldn't take it and told me to go reason with the old madam. I smiled and shook my head. You think she doesn't know? The affairs of the manor had probably already reached her ears long ago. She was just happy to see Lin Jiu and me growing apart. Back when Lin Jiu and I were on good terms, she already didn't like it. The minister's manor status is indeed good, but I fear her temperament is too strong and she'll be hard to control later. If you ask me, it'd be better to find one of lesser birth, so the inner courtyard can be harmonious. The old madam herself was not of high birth. After the old marquis gained power, one woman after another entered the inner courtyard, all of higher status than her. If Lin Jiu hadn't been born so well and excelled in both literary and martial arts, she might not have been able to secure her position as the main wife. Before I married into this family, Mother had warned me. Your mother-in-law usually doesn't like associating with people of too high a status. I am afraid after you marry over, she may not take a liking to you. At that time, I just smiled. As long as Lin Jiu likes me, that is all that matters. I took his affection too seriously. I also took his promises too seriously. He said he wouldn't take concubines, that I would be the only one in his life. And I truly believed him, this time. After the rift between Lin Jiu and me, it wasn't appropriate to ask about Yur's education anymore. But fortunately, I have nothing to do now, so I might as well take this chance to visit my parental home. It wasn't until I saw my brother that I learned Lin Jiu had indeed asked the Crown Prince of Qi, and had gotten someone into the family school of Prince Qi's mansion. It is just that person wasn't Yur. It is the illegitimate son of the Dali Temple deputy's family. My brother said coldly. Then continued. I heard that illegitimate son's concubine mother is close with that woman from the Marquise's mansion. Xie Yingjing again, I thought somewhat numbly, yet couldn't suppress the rage in my heart. He delayed matters concerning his own legitimate son, yet busied himself for another family's illegitimate son. Lin Jiu? Oh, Lin Jiu. He truly didn't just disappoint me. It was far worse than that. What do you plan to do? My brother could barely contain his anger and couldn't help but speak up. I suppressed my emotions and said, this matter still needs careful consideration. Let's settle Yuer's education first. Send him somewhere farther away. I remember the looming academy in Luzhou is quite good. Brother instantly understood, but still couldn't help worrying. Yuer is still young, would he? I shook my head. At worst, we could send more people to accompany him. Besides, it wouldn't be for long, a year at most. Once things at the Marquis Manor are settled, I'll bring him back. I thought you would stay in your room and reflect quietly, but I didn't expect you to be so impatient as to run back to your maiden home to complain. Zhang Yuni, you are now a wife of the Lin family. No longer a daughter of the Zhang family. What could be so important that it is worth you acting like this? I spoke calmly. It is about Yuer. He froze, guiltily turning his face away. Speaking of which, I forgot to tell you about Prince Qi's residence. Yuer won't be going for now. A colleague's child is already 10 years old and needs it more than Yuer. I raised my eyebrow and smiled. Whose child? I know all your colleagues. I remember there aren't many children older than you are. Lin Jiu said with a straight face. How could you know all of them? Besides, would I lie to you? Yuer is only 5 now, there is no rush. In my minister's manor, children started their education at 3 and could recite the 4 books and 5 classics fluently by 5. But I couldn't be bothered to argue with him, and just told him Yuer already had another place to go. Upon hearing that Yuer was going to Looming Academy, Lin Jiu was shocked. But Looming Academy has always been cautious about admitting students, even royal children may not necessarily get in. How did you find a way? He frowned and stared at me, then suddenly seemed to understand something. Right. You must have asked Minister for help. Jiang Yuni, it is not like I wasn't going to send him to school. Why are you in such a hurry? People who don't know might think my Marquis manor won't even let the child attend school. He got angry again, his face darkening. Seeing my indifferent expression, his tone grew even colder and harder. Do you really look down on my Marquis manor? Do you regret it? I lowered my head slightly. Yes, I regret it. But there is no point in saying all this now, so I didn't respond to him. But Lin Jiu himself lost his composure. He stood up and came to my side, grabbed my shoulders, and forced me to look at him directly. Yin Yang was right. You really do look down on me, a mere military man. Haven't I treated you well all these years, for your sake? There is not a single extra person in the inner court. Even Yin Yang was only taken in after reading your mood. What more do you want from me? His eyes were red, looking as if he had been greatly wronged. And I finally understood. No wonder he got so angry last time. Turns out Shui Yingying was stirring things up. But he was the one who promised me I'd be the only one in his back courtyard. And he is also the one who wants to take Shui Yingjing as a concubine. I should be the one asking, what does he expect of me? But I no longer have the heart to argue. Since I was little, Mother taught me not to put all my heart on a man. But back then when I heard Lin Jiu's promise, I couldn't help but be moved. I am a military man. I can't compare to you noble-born young masters. I don't know how to say fancy words. Anyway, if you marry me, I definitely won't let you suffer any grievances. And there won't be anyone else in the back courtyard. Jiang Yuni, I Lin Jiu, only love you alone. Such straightforward words. They made me blush to my ears. I had never heard such a passionate confession. I also never knew the back courtyard could have only one woman. Even my father had several concubines. An unrealistic longing, yet so beautiful, it seemed unreal. But father refused to agree. The Lin family came from humble origins. Any family with a bit of standing in the capital wouldn't want to associate with them. How many generations have they had? Only the second, who knows when they'll fall into obscurity. How can they compare to our centuries-old great clan? I say you should keep looking. Keep looking, but he still couldn't resist my persistent pleading, and I coaxed father until he had no choice but to agree. Turns out, Lin Jiu himself also cares about these family backgrounds. In the end, I don't understand him as well as Shui Yingying does. If I looked down on you, why would I have married you? I choked out a sob, but I covered my lips, refusing to let myself lose composure any further. Tears kept falling through the gaps between my fingers. Lin Jiu was stunned, helplessly let go, then fell to his knees with a thud. Don't cry, I was wrong. My lady, can't I just admit I was wrong? That is not what I meant. But I cried even harder. With a slap, Lin Jiu struck himself across the face. Then he wrapped his arms around my waist. Hit me however you want, just stop crying. Your crying is making my heart ache. His words were still blunt, but I no longer blushed. I just choked out. If you really think of me that way, we might as well just divorce. I'd rather cut off my hair and become a nun than be misunderstood by you like this. I made a move to get up and find scissors, but Lin Jiu held me even tighter in his embrace. That night, he held me the entire night. Whenever I moved even slightly, his heart would jump with alarm. It wasn't until the next day, after repeatedly confirming I was all right, that Lin Jiu left with satisfaction. Liangxin pushed open the door and came in, looking at my eyes with heartache. They're all swollen. My lady has suffered. Her eyes reddened as well. I smiled slightly. What expression did the Marquis have when he left? Seems quite happy. I told you the Marquis cares about Madame. As long as you cry a little, he'll give you everything. Before she finished speaking, the steward delivered the account books and private seal, along with quite a few jewels and accessories. The servant by Lin Jiu's side said with an apologetic smile, "The Marquis said that the concubine is just an orphan after all, and doesn't understand these things, so Madame still needs to handle them. These gifts are for the Marquis to apologize to Madame. The matter from last time has been investigated. It was the concubine who made false accusations, which caused the Marquis to misunderstand Madame." The servant explained a lot. I listened absent-mindedly, but in truth didn't take in a single word. Liangxin, however, was moved. After everyone left, she couldn't help but say, "It is finally over. Our Marquis still loves Madame after all. He was using Shui Yingzheng to put me in my place. Seeing that I've given in, he is happy now. But I am not his pet." Liangxin immediately fell silent, startled by my words. But Lin Jiu was right. I really do look down on him. Less than a month later, Lin Jiu came to sound me out again. He had taken a fancy to a concubine-born daughter from a minor 7th-rank official's family. If Madame doesn't agree, just pretend I never mentioned it. Though he said that, his eyes never left me. I smiled. Why would I disagree? It is just that Ying Ying is pregnant now, so you should go tell her too. Lin Jiu's expression shifted slightly as he said indifferently, "What opinion could she possibly have? Just a concubine. You think you can call the shots?" After saying that, he strode away. As soon as he left, Shui Yingying came out from behind the screen nearby. The handkerchief in her hands was twisted completely out of shape. She glared at me with hatred. "You deliberately let me hear all that. Feeling pleased with yourself now?" My gaze swept over her abdomen, and I smiled. "I've never seen you as an enemy, whether you believe it or not. When women enter the inner courtyard, it is always because the man wants them." Shui Yingying, a mere orphan girl, having latched onto a marquis like Lin Jiu, of course wouldn't give up, though I felt uncomfortable, irritated, even disgusted. But I didn't want to trap myself in petty jealousy. Losing both face and dignity in the end wasn't worth it. But Liangxin had been with me since childhood, no different from my own sister. Since that incident, she had developed a persistent cough. Even though she kept insisting, it is just that the cold from before hasn't fully healed. This servant has always been frail since childhood. I welcomed that illegitimate daughter into the manor with great fanfare and prepared quite a lot of things for her. Whatever Lin Jiu had given Shui Yingying, I gave her the exact same. It wouldn't do to favor one over another. Lin Jiu stared at me fixedly for a long while. "You've changed." I looked at him in surprise, covering my lips as I laughed. "Have I gotten old?" The Marquis has only just gotten someone new, and already forgotten the old. His expression shifted, and he immediately stepped forward eagerly to embrace me. "You know, I love you the most. They're just flings, only you are what I've sought my whole life. Yun Yi, I am grateful you can do this much for me." I pretended to be angry and pushed him away. "All right. Don't keep the new one waiting. It is her first day entering the manor. You can't just leave her hanging." Lin Jiu left reluctantly. Liangxin watched his retreating figure and spoke with worry. "The master seems like a different person. Perhaps he was always this kind of person." I let out a chuckle. "He just used to disguise it too well before. Now that the situation is stable and I've given birth to Yuer, he simply stopped pretending." "Madam, should we divorce?" I rested my chin on my hand and casually opened the account book. Fortunately, the Marquis Manor has simple relationships, few expenses, yet plenty of income. Not divorcing, that is pretty good. Over the years, the Emperor had given them quite a lot of rewards. The fertile land in the south alone amounted to over 1,000 Qing. not to mention other shops and such. The old madam didn't know how to manage things before. The shops she ran were either losing money or the profitable ones had their earnings skimmed by the servants behind her back. The tenant rents were full of loopholes, only collecting 30 to 40%. Even so, there was still surplus every year. Now under my management, it had long turned from loss to profit. The estate has nearly doubled. But none of the masters in the Marquise's residence know about it. Of course, the account books I sent to Shui Yingjing before. She couldn't understand them either. So, I never had any intention of divorcing. When the new concubine entered the residence, Shui Yingjing fell out of favor. She stirred up trouble in the backyard time and again, but I quietly suppressed it all. Until this day, when the two actually started fighting. The newly arrived concubine Liu was no pushover either. Pointing at Shui Ying's belly, she cursed. Who has a belly this big at just 4 months? Whether this is even the Marquise's child is still uncertain. Mark my words. It'll definitely be a premature birth. Don't you dare say I upset you then. When Lin Jiu and I rushed over, we heard these words. Shui Yingying's face immediately turned deathly pale, her whole body trembling. I hurriedly stepped forward and pulled concubine Liu aside. All right. Concubine Shui is pregnant. We can't be reckless. I've already heard she just craved some food. Just give it to her. Does our Marquise's residence lack this bit of food? Fighting over things all day. What kind of behavior is this? Concubine Liu snorted. Isn't that right? Fighting over things all day. How shameless. Lin Jiu's face was grim, his gaze falling on Shui Yingjing like a knife. Shui Yingjing shrank back, her eyes reddening as she was about to speak, but I interrupted her. You really are something. What are you so afraid of? Concubine Liu was just spouting nonsense. Could it be that the child in your belly really isn't the Marquise's? Shui Yingying suddenly stiffened, looking at me in shock. I punished concubine Liu by having her copy scriptures, and told the steward to buy more bloodbird's nest for Shui Yingying. Let's consider this matter settled. Don't quarrel over such trivial matters in the future. But, as she was leaving, Lin Jiu's eyes swept over Shui Yingying's belly, cold and chilling. That night, Shui Yingying came before me. Why did you say such things? You clearly know. I froze, looking completely bewildered. I clearly know what. She gritted her teeth and took a deep breath. You know full well the Marquis is suspicious by nature. So why did you bring up that the child in my belly isn't his? This is clearly his seed. Madame herself was so disappointing, taking over a year to conceive, while I got pregnant with the Marquis after just one time. You are jealous of me, aren't you? I lowered my head and continued making summer clothes for Yuer. I wonder if he has grown taller. I replied to Shui Yingjing indifferently. Why would I need to be jealous of you? My Yuer has already been born, and he is the legitimate eldest son of the Marquis Manor. After saying that, I looked up and glanced at her belly. Whether the one in your belly can even be born is still a question. Shui Yingjing was furious, covering her belly, and said resentfully, You are the main wife. Yet you can't tolerate us like this. Aren't you afraid the Marquis will blame you? You dare to harm the heir of the Marquis Manor, Zhang Yuni. I think you are tired of living. But her anger only lasted a moment. I waited until she finished before speaking. Concubine Shui has been insubordinate. Go copy some scriptures to calm down. When I had people drag her away, Lin Jiu happened to come in from outside. Shui Yingjing seemed to have seen her savior, immediately broke free and rushed over to kneel on the ground. Marquis, save me. The madam is trying to harm me. Lin Jiu looked at me. I sighed helplessly. I don't know why. She insisted on coming to explain that the child in her belly is yours. It is not like I don't believe her, yet she was insubordinate and said I am trying to harm her. The Marquis was right. She really lacks discipline. If we don't restrain her more, I am afraid she'll embarrass us next time we take her out. You are lying. You, Shui Yingjing's shrill voice came. But as Lin Jiu pulled his robe hem from her grasp, she suddenly froze. She looked up blankly, only hearing Lin Jiu speak indifferently. Even if Madam really wanted to harm you, you would deserve it. After saying that, he ignored her and walked towards me. At this moment, Shui Yingying suddenly burst into loud laughter, laughing and crying at the same time. Zhang Yuni, do you think you've won? Back then, the biggest reason he let me into the manor was to dampen your spirit. Just because all his colleagues had concubines. Yet only he didn't dare to take one. Didn't dare to seek a girl from an official's family, so he sought me out. Because I am an orphan girl, he used my helplessness and loneliness as an excuse, forcing you to. Lin Jiu's face gradually turned pale as he abruptly turned around. But I held his hand, my gaze looking calmly toward Shui Yingying. He spoke while her face was full of surprise. That is still a matter between us as husband and wife. After saying that, I had someone take her away. Lin Jiu was sitting on pins and needles, wanting to speak up and explain from time to time. I finished the last bit, put away my needle and thread, and looked up at him. It was me being too stubborn before. If I had been a bit more considerate, you wouldn't have resorted to this. Right? His eyes misted over. I am sorry. I've let you down. I cared about what others thought, cared about my colleagues teasing, so I wanted to put you in your place a bit. I really never meant to make you feel bad. Actually, I've been blaming myself too, and regretting it. I swear. Concubine Liu is the last one. I won't ever again. I covered his lips with my hand and smiled. It is fine, everyone does this. You've already done very well. He stared at me in disbelief. Only when he realized I wasn't lying did he finally breathe a sigh of relief. I leaned against his chest, gazing absent-mindedly at the moon outside the window. Actually, if Lin Jiu hadn't made that vow, I probably still would have married him. But he just had to make a promise he couldn't keep. This kind of person is what I truly fear. Shui Yingying's child was gone. Late one night, I received this news and sent a servant to deliver some tonics over. Before long, Liangxin came back and said, it was the Marquise's people. Concubine Shui had a lover before she married into the household. The Marquis was worried the child wasn't his, so he struck first. I clutched my handkerchief tightly, my thoughts growing heavy. What about Shui Yingying then? How does he plan to deal with her? There is something wrong with the medicine the household physician gave her. He probably wants to dispose of her quietly. I rubbed the space between my brows, and the next day went to see her myself. The Marquise's manor has an estate not far from the capital. If you are willing, I can send you there to recuperate. Whenever you want to leave, I can let you go. She turned her eyes toward me like a wooden sculpture and let out a cold laugh. You'd be this kind to me. I don't need your fake sympathy. This is the path I chose myself. I shook my head and said nothing more. The child in my belly really is his. From behind me, her sorrowful voice came. I turned back to look and nodded. I knew she really was just a glutton. That is why she had more flesh on her belly than most, making her stomach appear bigger. Lin Jiu would have noticed with just a bit of attention. He just didn't want to. Or, even if he didn't want a tainted child. Before long, Shui Yingying was gone. The household wrapped her in a straw mat and threw her in a mass grave. I had Liangxin arrange for someone to collect her body. 6 months later, Lin Jiu took a liking to a dancer outside the household. And this time he brought her directly to me. What status do you think she should be given? I didn't even raise my head, told Liangxin to arrange it. But Lin Jiu suddenly walked up to me and said coldly, Zhang Yuni, I really can't figure you out. I looked up, waiting for what he would say next. Do you even care about me? Are you truly generous or just pretending to be? Before, you used to ask who was there even if I just had a drink outside. Terrified I might have other women. But ever since Shui Yingying, I stopped caring. Wasn't this the lesson he taught me? Using Yuer's future and Liangxin's body, he taught me that men can't be relied on. I think Lin Jiu is really pathetic. He valued my status as the legitimate daughter of the minister's household, yet wanted me to lower my proud head and submit to him. He wanted me to be jealous and fight over him, yet also wanted me to be magnanimous and tolerant. He left without saying what came next. Liangxin served me tea. The master looks angry again. Yes, he is angry again. Anger harms the body. Send today's medicinal soup to him. Liangxin paused, wanting to speak but holding back. I smiled. Just say I stewed it myself, and make sure he finishes it all. The medicinal ingredients are rare. Best not to waste them. Lin Jiu seemed to have butted heads with me. He started bringing people home frequently, of all sorts of status. Until the day he brought back a prostitute from Chunfeng House. I still had someone arrange accommodations without batting an eye. His expression gradually darkened as he stared at my face. Zhang Yuni, what exactly do you want me to do before you are satisfied? I looked over helplessly. What are you saying, my lord? I am satisfied with whatever you do. Nonsense. This woman is a prostitute, and you are not going to do anything about it. His face turned dark with anger. You are really this generous enough to give me away to others. If someday someone wants your position as the main wife, would you just hand it over? He was so furious that he smashed the teacup. Fine Celadon porcelain, shattered into pieces in an instant. My eyelids flickered, and seeing his flushed face, I consoled him. I won't. The main wife of the Marquise's manor can only be me. But Lin Jiu's expression didn't soften. Is that what I was talking about? You are so clever. Are you going to brush me off now too? Yes. I have wronged you in some ways, so what? Isn't Shui Yingying dead anyway? Why don't you understand? Jiang Yuni. I just want you to value me a little. When he got worked up, he actually jumped to his feet. His hands kept pounding on the table. Liangxin was so frightened that she kept watching the situation inside from the doorway. But I remained unmoved. Lin Jiu pointed at me, then suddenly rolled his eyes back and collapsed on the ground. Lin Jiu fell ill. He lay in bed, only able to move his head, unable to even lift his hands. The mother-in-law who lived deep in the back courtyard finally came to find me. Kneel? She spoke harshly, her eyes full of reproach. As a wife, you actually let your husband dally among flowers without advising against it. Utterly disgraceful. If not for you, how would my son have ended up like this? And to think you are a noble lady from a prestigious family, priding yourself on virtue and talent in my view. It is all an undeserved reputation. I told you to kneel. She had been talking for a while before noticing I was still standing straight, so angry her face turned red. I raised my eyes indifferently, my gaze sweeping across. All the people under the old woman withdrew and closed the door. She hurriedly tried to stand, but I had already walked to her side and pressed her shoulders to make her sit down. The people around me, weren't they replaced at old madam's request? I cut her off. Both mother and son were exceptionally suspicious. With just a little provocation, all those old servants around her had been dismissed. The rest are naturally all my people. After all these years, I've been the one managing everything inside and outside the Marquis Manor. What on earth do you want? You vicious woman, the old madam's eyes turned red with rage. I smiled gently and whispered in her ear, I know. Lin Jiu only got the idea of taking concubines because you kept bringing it up again and again. Of course, he is trash to begin with, so I can't blame you. But when I was pregnant with you stuffed women into Lin Jiu's room and deliberately let me see, nearly causing me to give birth prematurely. After all these years, did you really think I forgot? A sharp gasp was heard, and the old madam's face darkened. I hold an imperial title, just try to touch me. I smiled. Of course I wouldn't dare. Your daughter-in-law will serve mother with good food and drink. Since you don't like the hustle and bustle, you can stay in the Buddhist hall from now on. The one newly built in the West Garden, just completed recently, was specially prepared for you. By now, word had spread everywhere outside, saying I was filial. Just because my mother-in-law mentioned the temple was too far away, I brought the Buddha home. Surely she could appreciate my thoughtfulness. After arranging things for my mother-in-law, I went to see Lin Jiu. The moment he saw me, his eyes turned red. I consoled him, husband, don't worry. I've already sent word to the court on your behalf. The emperor, sympathizing with the Marquis Manor's loyalty, has specially appointed Yuer as the heir. When he comes of age, he can inherit the Marquis title. Husband just needs to rest and recuperate. He suddenly widened his eyes and said irritably, "How do you know my illness can't be cured? You haven't even called for an imperial physician, Zhang Yunyi. Go to the palace and request an imperial physician." I was startled and asked in confusion, "Does the Marquis Manor have the ability to summon an imperial physician from the palace?" How come I didn't know? The Marquis Manor can't, but can't your minister's manor? Have your father go beg the emperor. He will surely show mercy. My expression softened, and I said indifferently, that would be the minister's manor's capability. What does it have to do with the Marquis Manor? I thought about it and felt my husband was right. I am now a woman of the Lin family, no longer a daughter of the Jiang family. Our Marquis Manor's matters should be handled by ourselves, right? Lin Jiu was completely dumbfounded. He stared at me in disbelief and said frantically, "Where is my mother? I want to see my mother." The old madam is very worried about you. Husband, she is praying for you at the Buddhist hall. Lin Jiu finally seemed to understand. Zhang Yunyi. It was you, wasn't it? I stood up with a cold expression and looked down at him from above. Husband, don't speak nonsense. Everyone outside says you've been indulging in women and exhausted your body to end up like this. How can this be blamed on me? It really hurts my feelings. I turned and left. No matter how he shouted, it was useless. Later Yuer returned to the manor. Lin Jiu tried several times to have someone bring Yuer to see him. I simply led someone there myself. Lin Jiu said impatiently, "Yuer, your mother who harmed me. Help me." Yuer. But Yuer just held my hand looking at him with cold eyes. "I didn't want to come see you. It was mother who said that no matter what, you are still my father. And told me to come see you. How could you say such things? Back then when concubine Shui entered the household, wasn't it you who pressured mother step by step into agreeing? Then there was concubine Liu. Now there are dozens of concubines in the back courtyard. Did mother force you to take them in?" His eyes were red, yet he stubbornly turned his head away. "It is father who wronged mother." After saying that, he left without looking back. Lin Jiu's last support was gone. I sat down by his bedside and said indifferently, "How could you think a noble lady from a prestigious family could be bullied at will?" This was the biggest mistake he ever made. From the moment I was old enough to understand, I was taught how to manage the inner household. What dirty tricks, what hidden poisons wouldn't I know about? A noble family of several hundred years. Daughters married out can only be the main wife. The children born will only be the legitimate eldest son, inheriting the title. Yunyi, I was wrong. Lin Jiu suddenly spoke with a choked voice. When I looked over, I found there was actually a tear hanging at the corner of his eye. Hope emerged in his eyes, and he hurriedly said, "It was all my mother. She was the one who said you were too high above me, that marrying me was just to control me. Let me wear down your sharp edges. Otherwise the Marquis Manor will only fall into your hands in the future." I didn't believe it at first. But you were too cold. Zhang Yunyi, whether you believe it or not, I agreed to my mother's approach only to provoke you. I wanted to see you get angry, wanted to see you get jealous over me. Wanted to. He started becoming incoherent, carefully observing my expression. Seeing that I didn't speak, he assumed I had taken his words to heart. But after learning about Shui Yingying's existence, you said nothing. Do you know how disappointed I was? You really don't love me. At this moment, I interrupted his self-pitying performance. But you also knew I didn't sleep for 3 whole nights. His expression suddenly froze. I smiled slightly. That day, I heard your conversation with your colleague. It was precisely because I heard it that I decided to let him be with Shui Yingying, decided to take a different path. In the study with the door tightly shut, Lin Jiu said smugly, "I thought she really didn't care, but she was secretly crying. Hasn't slept for 3 nights, who knows what she is thinking about. If she truly accepts Shui Yingying for my sake, I'll continue to treat her as before." His colleague advised him not to go too far. But he let out a cold laugh. I've always minded it, back then, to be able to marry her. I had to visit 3 times. I know the Jiang family is a prestigious clan, and I was reaching above my station. But did they really have to humiliate me like that? If I don't vent this frustration, I won't feel at ease. The lie was exposed. Lin Jiu only froze for a moment. But I still love you. I gave you everything. I just wanted you to pay more attention to me. Jiang Yuni, if I didn't love you, could you have achieved this much in the Marquise's mansion? I nodded thoughtfully. Yes, there was some love, but not much. After saying that, I got up and left. Now I am the only one in charge of the Marquise's mansion, and there are still many things waiting for me. Lin Jiu's terrified voice came from behind. No. Don't go. At least let me die knowing the truth. What exactly is wrong with my body? Is there any chance of recovery? I stood at the doorway and looked back at him. I thought of Lin Jiu back then, only 18 years old, dazzling like the blazing sun. He made me promises that others wouldn't dare to make. His eyes frighteningly bright. But now, the light in those eyes had become faint and dim. I shook my head amid his eyes full of hope. Then I left without looking back. What does that mean? Are you refusing to tell me, or will I never get better? Jiang Yuni. His roaring voice echoed throughout the courtyard. I had the servants lock up. The Marquis is temperamental these days. Ordinary people shouldn't disturb him. In the 10+ years I managed the Marquise's mansion, Lin Jiu remained alive. But he might as well have been dead. He had wished many times for me to kill him. But I never did it, and even took very good care of him. So good that whenever he told any visitor I had harmed him, no one believed him. You really can't blame your wife for this. Back when you wanted to take concubines, she was unwilling too. Later she couldn't stand your pestering, so she helped you take one after another. Exactly. Didn't you even enjoy watching her feel hurt? How can you blame her now? Lin Jiu had no way to defend himself. I should thank her for making outsiders all think I was tolerant and magnanimous. But my brother always felt this couldn't go on. End it sooner rather than later. I smiled. Only with him alive can I walk with my head held high. If he died for no reason, people would let their imaginations run wild instead. Besides, whatever that mother and son feared, I would make them watch me do it with their own eyes. In the current Marquis manor, my word was law. Yuer obeyed my every word without question. Until the year I turned 50, Lin Jiu was literally angered to death. I went to see him one last time. Yuni, whether you believe it or not, I truly regret everything. If there is a next life, I will definitely treat you well. I withdrew my gaze and closed his eyes with my own hands. If there is a next life, stay far away from me, I silently replied to him in my heart. Then I held a grand funeral for him. Everyone praised me for being kind and loyal, never abandoning my husband through his years of being bedridden. When Yuer inherited the Marquis title, His Majesty also granted me a noble title. My life would have been just as glorious without Lin Jiu.